Do you ever wish you could be a fly on the wall for conversations between successful women entrepreneurs in different industries?
That's exactly what Breaking Even Better podcast is.
Every week, we'll share raw,
Real,
and unfiltered insights from our experiences scaling our businesses
and helping others do the same.
Welcome back to Breaking Even Better, where we have candid conversations about business, money, and making it all work. I'm Carolina, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Brenda and Trish. Amazing ladies. How are we feeling today?
Feeling what?
Feeling good.
Feeling what?
Because we're going to talk about my favorite topic. And
It's all
that
about the
is-
money.
That's right, baby. That's right.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm feeling really good today.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be real. This economic ups and downs is really giving me whiplash.
I think it's
I'm
giving us
tired.
all whiplash. I think you're right about that, B. I'll tell you what.
It's
like,
frightening.
Yeah. Just
Mhm.
when you think it was safe to go back in the water. No. Just when you think it's going to be stable. No. No, that's right. Get your sea legs ready.
And this is exactly why we're going to have this episode today.
Mhm.
I felt that given the state of the economy and given the fact that we're talking to business owners or potential business owners,
Mhm.
how important financial planning in unpredictable times is.
Mhm.
Today.
Mhm.
We're going to go down kind of like how to navigate the uncertainty. What kind of data do you need
Mhm.
in order to make decisions? What kind of choices business owners have to make in order to stay afloat?
Mhm.
How to become resilient?
So what you're saying is that we shouldn't rock back and forth and suck our thumb when financial instability. I just want to be sure that I understand.
I mean, you can do that. In
Okay,
your
good. I
private-
just
in
want to
the
like, what if
privacy-
should
in
we
the
be doing
privacy of your
tequila shots?
home?
Maybe. I'm just saying, like,
I mean,
sometimes.
The tequila shots from last night, actually, Brenda, were really good.
Yes,
They
you
were.
picked the
So,
right tequila
we-
for
With the
sure.
orange.
Yes.
Yeah,
the orange
yes,
slice
yes,
was
yes,
key.
Yeah, you
Yes,
like
you're
that.
right about
I remember that. She was like
That's
5 minutes later.
It was like,
It was
that
really
was
good.
smooth. What was
Ooh.
that? Don Julio again? What is that? Don
Yeah,
Julio, we are available for sponsorship too if you're interested.
It went down really well, and I
Right.
was like, "Oh, I'm feeling it." All right,
All
go
right.
back. Let's go back to money,
back to
people.
okay. Sorry. So, how much of this is actually mindset? In other words, not rocking back and forth and sucking your thumb. How much of it is mindset versus how much of it is planning? I mean, like seriously, because I feel like people panic. I know I have panicked. So,
Yeah.
And panic's not my favorite state.
So why does everything feel so unpredictable?
That's right. That's right.
why.
Why is that?
It is half and half, or
Mhm.
maybe 75-25,
Mhm.
however you want to split it. It is part mindset, and it is part planning and focusing on what's
Mhm.
going on. So, what is true is that regardless of political situation in a country,
Right.
there are economic shifts that happen every certain periods of time.
Mhm.
If something's happening on the other side of the world is going to impact us maybe 6-18 months from now. And that's
Sometimes
the part
it's
that,
immediate.
and
Right.
and sometimes it is
Mhm.
immediate. But as business owners, we kind of like need to understand what are the trends in our own businesses,
Right.
and how can we predict some of the ups and downs that may happen, giving out external forces, so to
Right.
speak, right? And the part on that, on the mindset, is how do we keep our fears down? How do
Mhm.
we understand that sometimes it has nothing to do with us?
Right.
Or how do we sort of filter the news and the information that comes our way so that we do stay focused
Right.
in our business and in our personal lives, rather than taking in all the stress from everybody else.
Right. I think there's another strategy to consider here too, and I think we'll dialogue about this, which is how to keep your clients calm too. Because I know that especially as in marketing, we're the first to get cut. And there's an element of trying to keep them calm and not freak out too. So I think we'll touch on that a little bit later in the episode, but there's different parts of it. It's not just keeping yourself calm, but keeping your clients calm too.
So when we have things like the fluctuating interest rate, have inflation, and the reverse of that, sometimes we didn't know which way we were going at one point. And then we have the people getting laid off.
Mm-hmm.
ordered to be laid off.
Mhm. Right.
And
Cut to
instances
the
like
quick.
that, what do you tell your clients?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is. A
What do
lot.
I tell my clients? I mean, it depends on the client,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's so unpredictable.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But some
Right.
things are predictable. That's the
Mm,
thing.
mm.
Some things are predictable in business.
Mhm.
When you do have a system, when you do have a regular meeting with your financial person, your
Mhm.
CFO or your accountant, there are ways to predict certain things in your business. And by predicting those certain things in your business, you can mitigate the unpredictability so
Mhm.
that it doesn't hit you as hard. You also have to be able to know in regards to your personal industry and your niche,
Mhm.
right? I always say, I happen to luck out to be in an industry that doesn't really get shaken
That's right.
Mhm.
by anything because everybody needs an accountant.
Everybody needs an accountant.
That's true.
Yeah. Yes.
That's true.
You know what's funny is
I want her to
bartenders don't go out of business either. Bartenders and accountants.
Man. Bartenders
There's-
during
That's
COVID
terrible.
was making
And
some
you
money.
know what also doesn't lose money? Beauty.
Yes,
and
I was going to say
Yes.
beauty and alcohol, like lipstick sales go
That's right.
up when
Yeah.
the market goes down. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, babies come.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, they
Hospitals
do.
get-
Yeah, she's like, whew.
But really, I remember two things. I remember when I was in Italy, the first time number 45 was in office,
Right,
and 45, 47
right.
was in office. I was in Italy, and he said something in the States,
Mm-hmm.
and the exchange rate changed immediately.
Mhm.
It was
Wow.
one
Mhm.
thing he said, and it's like something snapped over there, and you could get it for one price 1 minute,
Mhm.
and the next minute it's
Mhm.
a whole different price,
Mhm.
Isn't
and
that
it
crazy?
increased. That's crazy.
Mhm.
It is.
And I was like, "What did he say?
Right.
Can we run that back?" I was trying to get that, but that's what I'm saying. It's stuff like
Yes.
that is unpredictable, and it affects us, not the ones who's doing it.
That's right.
Yes. So here's a couple of things that I've learned over the years, not just because I'm an accountant, but like I pay attention.
Right.
Mhm.
You should never rely on one thing.
Right.
In your financial world, you need to have different streams of income.
Yep.
You need to have a plan B, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why building up cash resources is so critical
Mhm.
because of that unpredictability. If you have a safety net, if you have money set aside for the times that you may not necessarily generate income, then your level of anxiety and fear goes down.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that you're going to ignore what's happening in the world, but it just means that you can approach it in a more kind of like mentally stable way than
Mhm.
if you don't have any money and then things change rapidly as they're changing now.
Right.
Then of course that's going to give you anxiety. And then what happens with that in the mindset is that you're not able to make smart decisions
Right.
That's so
because
true.
you don't have the data and now you have the fear, and that combination of factors makes you make really poor decisions.
Right.
Desperation.
And the third part of that is you're typically making those decisions by yourself
Right.
instead of consulting, instead
Right.
of going to people who may shed some light as to, hey,
Right.
have you given it a thought of doing XYZ? That's part of like,
Right.
how do you get around the uncertainty?
I think an important thing about working with somebody who understands finance and understands money and understands cash flow is much like we talked about in a previous episode, you might be doing better than you think. So you might be feeling like you're nervous and feeling the uncertainty around you, and yet your business might be a lot more stable than you realize, but you're influenced by all the negative and the doom scrolling that's happening. So you're much better off looking at empirical data and saying, okay, well, this is where I was, this is where I am, this is where I'm going. So I just wanted to kind of make that mark too, because again, as business owners, we are in our feelings a lot. So I think that it's really, really important to go back to the data and kind of figure out, am I doing as poorly, or do I have the potential to do as poorly as I think I'm doing, or am I doing better? You know, am I going to be all right? Am I going to get through this? So yeah.
So, okay, so let's get tactical here.
Mhm.
How did you begin forecasting for an uncertain economy? Like, what things should we be tracking? What should business owners, small, medium, large, what should we be tracking?
Well, first of all, I sure as heck hope you have an accounting system
Mhm.
and not managing your business out of your phone or out of your bank account, which
Mhm.
is what a lot of small businesses do. But obviously, once you hit a certain target, you have to have financial systems.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So what you want to be able to do is look at this data, not only for this current month or this current year, you want to look at the last 3 years
Mm.
because the last 3 years will show you the trends of revenue. And you look at this data not from 1 year, just you look at it monthly. Like you
Right.
look at this report on like what happened from January to February to March to April. Like when you see the trends in revenue, that gives you an insight into what happens in your own business. And then if it drops, what is your break even?
Right.
Right.
Hey.
Making it even better.
Exactly right.
What is that break even number has to be in order for you to be able to cover your expenses
Sure.
and still be able to keep that business going.
Yeah.
Most people don't know what that number is.
Right. I do want to point out too, because I know in my industry there are certain months, and I know exactly what you're saying. I'm not refuting what you're saying. Like you have to check month after month. Does March look like April, look like May? But I also know that there's trends too. So like I will look not only at how was March versus April versus May, but I'll look at March from the year before and then March now, and kind of make those comparisons as well. Because whenever you do have an economic shift, of course it's going to impact what's happening in that year. But again, like the point I was trying to make earlier is you might not be doing as bad as you think. Like if March looks better than it was last year, then you are doing better, especially if you didn't bring up not just the top line, but bottom line too. So, but just want to say that, but
that part. Right.
Because
Because here's the thing, in terms of the data and understanding your own niche, if you are in a specific industry that is seasonal, that
Right.
has trends or whatever,
has trends, then it gives you the insight that you need. Well, if things are happening right now and my particular industry is always down in this time of the year, well, what am I worrying about? I was already going to be down anyways.
Right.
So let's talk about,
That's right.
it's up. Like if in my industry, which first quarter of every year is the best quarter for accountants.
Right.
And you're busiest.
And I'm the busiest.
Right.
What if my numbers go down? I have a concern because that would be atypical, right?
Right.
Atypical quarter for an accountant. So you have to look at the revenue, the trends per month, per quarter, per year, and then what are your cash reserves, and what is your debt? Like what is the ratio between liquidity, right, in your business?
Right.
How quickly can you turn around and get some money if your revenue is not growing and you still have debt to pay? How quickly can you get cash to cover your expenses?
Right.
So those are the things that you have to look at. And obviously, I'm going to recommend that you do this ahead of time and not when there's a crisis.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Even I get hundreds of calls a day from people trying to give you those merchant cash advances, I guess. I just realized what the MCA stand for not too long ago, but they call you 100 times a day.
Right.
But and I say, I'm good. And they'll say, well, this is the time to get it while you're good. And I'm like, but now I don't want no more debt either.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I get it.
Right.
Well, but that's also, looking, into the future and planning for when things are not good is, let me get a line of credit when I have good credit.
Right.
So that when I have to use it, I have it available and not now I don't have any cash coming in and the bank is going to say no to me.
Right.
And I have an example of that with one of my clients. Like they were doing extremely well, and all of a sudden, and they hire all these people, and they were investing in the growth of the business, and all of a sudden, the sales tanked.
Right.
And there was no money coming in, but they have all this debt, and now they're trying to go to the bank to get additional funding, and the bank is saying, no,
Right.
you ain't got no revenue coming in.
Right.
Why would we give you money?
You are too risky. I only want to give you money when you have money.
Exactly. So that's what the preparing yourself for the unpredictability comes into play. Is do it when things are good. And then things will work out better.
Right. And I hear that all the time, and I believe it. It's just sometimes you have that mindset, I'm trying to get out of debt. I don't want to do this right now, but
Right.
the exact time to do it is right now so you can have it for later.
That's right. That's right.
Speaking of those type choices,
Mhm.
hard choices or tough decisions that we have to make, what are some difficult decisions people have made in these uncertain times now that you know about
Mm.
So many.
as it relates to businesses?
Well, I think the first one is staffing.
Mhm.
Yes, say that.
And
Right.
This is your
That's
this is
me.
your
I-
world.
Like,
I
why
should-
you gotta say
I'm
that out
asking
loud?
you. I need to be talking about that one. That's the truth.
Right.
That's the
It's-
truth.
Yeah, I mean, what's the one thing that that you can minimize is your payroll
Mhm.
liability exposure when
Right.
you're running a business,
Right.
right? So when things are tough, people be let go. And
Right.
it is one of the hardest things as business owners. I think
Yes.
all the three of us have
We've all had
faced
to do
it
it. Yeah.
to
Mhm.
have to let people go because we already know we can't afford it right now, or
Right.
we may not be able to afford it in 3 months from now. So
Right.
we gotta act,
Before you're really at
before,
Before,
right,
right.
before you're in
Gotta
the
prepare.
jam,
Girl, I
right?
called you crying because I had to let somebody
You could,
go.
I know. I was about to say that. You was like, you was crying.
I still miss her, man. It sucks, you know.
Right.
But
mean,
you know, and
You had a really good
It's
one.
a
I
tough
did. I had a
decision.
really good one. And here's the thing, too. What sucks is like, you know, I know that if I wanted to call her and say, hey, come back, I could, but you know, she went and got another job. Like, you know, she got to go
Right.
do her thing too, you know? So it just, and you know, every now and again, still hear from her, but man, that broke my heart. So like, it does suck, but you know, ultimately you have to make the, you know, the right choice. But, you know, I'm curious, Caroline, to your thoughts on this too. Like that, and I don't mean this in an ugly way, but cutting back there is fairly obvious, like cutting expenses, but like what else? What else can we look at?
Well,
Like, where else can we be?
we do know that your industry in particularly gets
What you
hit
talking about?
first.
What are you talking about?
We know that
It's okay.
marketing is like, oh, we don't need marketing.
Oh, hold on.
Bye.
I think I have that bottle of tequila right behind my seat here, just right now. We're just, you know, just in case.
I mean,
So-
obviously, but I tend to tell my clients, wait a minute,
Right.
hold your horses.
I don't recommend it,
because
but I understand. why that happens.
understand you think you need to let this go, but then
Mhm.
how are sales going to come in?
That's
How
right.
are you going to increase your
Right.
revenue
That's right.
if you don't have any marketing? So let's be strategic
That's
about
right.
where we're cutting.
Right.
Here's one area that I often see
Mhm.
with a lot of business owners.
Mhm.
They start making good revenue and they live lavish lifestyles.
Mhm.
Guess what? You don't need to go have that dinner that's $300 every night.
You got
How about you
that.
cut it down once a week?
Mhm.
You can also cut down in other areas of your business. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you have subscriptions to 10 different things that you don't need. You may
Yeah,
need
that's
2.
a big one.
That's so true.
No, that's a huge one. My industry in particular, we have all kinds of software, like all kinds of software. And sometimes and I remember doing this audit a couple of years ago, B and I did an audit and we came upon a software that we realized we were only using for one client. And I was like, all right, hold up. We need to do some like recognize sure. Is it just like, you know, a cost of goods? Sure. But is there an alternative? And it turns out that one of the other softwares we had offered that service too, but it was like an add-on. So I'm like, here we go. And ultimately we got rid of, and again, this is a small subscription, but still. So we got rid of that and then added it to another subscription and we were good to go. So like one of the things that I know that worked for us wasn't just, you know, cutting expenses, but auditing your expenses too and saying like, where can I double down or what can I live without? Is this really a convenience or is this something that's truly making the customer service better experience? That's different.
Right.
You know, how much of this is internal stuff where it's like, well, I don't
Mhm.
want to, so I'm going to, or how much of this is something truly tied to fulfillment. So,
Well, so that 100%. So, but that goes back to making sure you have data, right?
Mhm.
So that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
look at those details and
Mhm.
see, well, office supplies, what does that mean? Like, what are
Right.
you spending? Who's really printing in this date and age?
Right.
That's what I want to
mean,
know.
some
Right.
people-
That's right. Right.
So you start looking at, well, do you really need an office space?
Right.
Let's talk about,
Right.
remote work because COVID proved that it can be done.
Apologies
did
to
it.
all commercial real estate agents who are listening to us right now. Work remote. No.
Not every business can work remote.
That's right.
Right. And
Right.
so
Right.
it's a reality. But if you are in an industry that you don't really get to see people, people don't walk to your office
right.
to get business, and you might reconsider. Maybe it's not necessarily getting rid of the entire office space. Maybe you just want a small, a
Right.
smaller space. That's
Right.
one way to
Mhm.
cut space. Or how about you buy your own real estate?
There's an
And
idea.
that's an investment
That's right.
in part of your
I
portfolio.
know that
That's
lady
right.
over there.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Did that. So you make the investment, right?
Right.
Instead of getting rid of the expense, do it as
Right.
an investment. So there are ways that you can sort of trim the fat
Right.
Right.
in the right way as being strategic.
That's right.
Another way is look at your entire, talking about staff in operations, look at your entire staff and do you have the right people in the right places?
Right.
Right.
Sometimes you're overpaying people just because they've been with you for a long time, but they might not be the right fit
Right.
for the business anymore because your business has shifted. So take
Mhm.
a really good look at what that human capital in your business looks like
Right.
and then make decisions based on that.
I can imagine one of the toughest calls to make is to ask someone for help or
What do you
trying
mean?
to. I know,
I
right?
got it all covered.
Trying to determine if you need to make that call, whether it's to your CFO, to a mentor,
Right.
or to anyone at that at that point. So, how do you feel about that? And when you get to that space
Mhm.
and you have to make that call, I've been there.
Oh yeah.
So I know how I felt, and I don't like it, and I
Right.
don't want to feel like that no more.
I'll tell you what, when it was the hardest for me to make that call was when I was at my worst.
Right.
Like you would think like now that I'm better at it that I wouldn't need somebody. And now I'm more inclined to be like, what else do I need to know? What else didn't I know? I was so embarrassed when I first got started. I remember making a huge mistake, an invoicing mistake. Wow, that's a story for another day. For another
that
day.
story.
That is, I got one of those
Oh
too.
my goodness gracious. I think that lady's still in jail. I'm not even kidding. Woo, that's another story for another day. But I remember being so embarrassed by such a silly invoice mistake. Like I get it. So any business owners who are listening right now, like if you really feel like you're in over your head, I'm speaking directly into your heart and soul right now. You do need to find somebody. Like when does that happen? Like when do you know like, all right,
I can't do this alone.
I need a CFO. I need a bookkeeper. I need somebody, something.
I can. I
Help a
know.
sister out. Yeah.
She knows.
Yes.
I know. It was before Carolina.
Right.
Right. I had, I think I went through like 3 or 4 accountants. One of them embezzled.
Oh, nice.
Not supposed to be in the United States at this time. If you are, you know who you are.
That's right.
One of them embezzled, and just didn't pay my taxes.
Oh gosh.
And so
That's
I
like
was
my
I didn't trust at that point.
Right.
Mhm.
Like when I got the call from the IRS, like you didn't pay your tax,
Mm.
your second quarter tax. I'm like, yes, I did. It's right here.
Right.
He was like, it's right there, but it's not here.
I love what you got on your little paper, but our little paper doesn't say that.
And he was like, I'm gonna give you 10 days to do your research.
Oh
we
my
have not. I was like,
gosh.
what? And I had to call my brother and my dad
Oh man. Oh
to pay
man.
taxes that I
Mm.
thought was paid.
Oh my gosh, Brenda.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard out there.
Oh yes.
But when you have to make that call and you have to just lower your, I don't even know if it's called lower yourself, but humble yourself
Right.
to make that call.
Mm.
Ooh,
Right.
that's a gut wrenching feeling.
I'll tell you
Mhm.
what, the more confident I've become, the easier humility has become. Like I
Mm.
feel like when I was, what do they say? Like empty vessels make the most noise or whatever else. So I feel like when I needed it the most was when I was the most embarrassed to ask
Mhm.
because I just didn't have the confidence to recognize that it's okay to not know everything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. Burying your head in the sand, it's not gonna solve the problem. It's not gonna take the IRS go away.
Right.
Right.
not.
It's
That's
just
right.
not. Like, so you have to face it. Yes, asking for
That's a
help
great point.
is
It is.
really difficult. And I think because we have not only created businesses but raised children, we know how difficult it is to ask for help.
Right.
But at the same time, those opportunities we've had to ask for help, we have come on the other side.
Right.
Right. So being proactive, which is what I always tell my clients, and you know this, Brenda, is like, I want you to know what's coming. I don't want
Right.
I don't want to have to tell you the bad news later.
Right.
I want you to know what's ahead of you. And that's the proactive approach. Most businesses wait until it's too late.
Yes.
That whole concept of, oh, I'll just wait until February, March to talk about taxes. Well, that's too late. Nobody can help you then.
Yeah.
And then don't be mad at the people that can't help you.
Right.
Right. It's on you as a business owner to take ownership of the actions that you have to use. So be proactive, ask for help.
Right.
Here's the thing that I have found over the years. You will always find somebody who will help you. There is not one time in our lives that we can think back that we have not encountered somebody who have given us a hand.
Right.
Whether it be for our
we don't do this
business
alone, right?
or for our families or for whatever things, we've always in some ways have found somebody to help us. So that fear of asking for help is something we need to work on, and really ask yourself the question, what's the worst thing that can happen if I ask for help and somebody says no?
Right.
Yeah, they said no.
So what you're saying is don't bury your head in the sand. Just want to be clear about that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So if in the
That part.
future you want to take your money and you want to bury your toes in the sand, then don't bury your head in the sand. Got it. Got it.
And then I would add to that. And if you did just want to stick your head in there for a quick second,
Just for
let
a
it
minute,
be
'cause
a
it's scary.
second.
Just let it be a
But
second.
you got to get back
Right.
up.
Hold
and
your
get
breath
moving.
and then come
We
back
can't
up for
sit.
air.
We
Right.
can't stay in that
Yes,
space.
yes.
No.
You cannot stay down there. You got to come out.
Yeah, every once in a while, you just got to feel it
That's right.
and then bring it back.
That's right.
As business owners, you cannot soak in misery. You have to
Right.
get back up and get back moving
That's right.
if you want to succeed.
Okay, so let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
All right. So for anybody who's listening right now, I know things are uncertain. We're all feeling it. We're joking about it because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Like we get it. It gets very uncertain out there. So what is the best thing that a business owner can do? Like what's the best strategy for building stability when instability is so in vogue right now? What's the best way to stabilize your business? Like let's talk actionable insights here. What can we do as business owners?
All right. So here's a few things that you can do.
Okay.
You can put money towards your emergency fund.
Emergency tequila fund.
Well,
Okay,
that's
I just want to be.
that is separate.
Just bring it all home. Okay, so emergency. Okay.
You should at least have 3 months
3
to
to
6
6 months of
months.
tequila. Got it.
Okay? So that
I'm sorry. I'm just playing.
behave. Let me
I
talk.
will
Come
behave.
on, girl.
All right. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Yeah, no, have 3 to 6 months of expenses put aside so that if ish hits the fan, guess what?
Which it does.
You'll be okay. The second part is, which we've talked about before, have different streams of income.
Right.
This is, yes, it sounds a lot easier than actually getting done. But here's where you go and do your research and talk to other business owners. How are they doing it? What are they doing?
Right.
How can I get into whatever it is that they're doing so that I can also have this second stream of income and not be codependent on my only source of income, which is my business.
Right.
Right. So that part.
That's right.
The other thing that you can do is refinance or pay down debt. Right. Because even when interest rates are high, refinancing can give you a little boost of delaying the first payment and consolidating all these things. And now you have 60 days to get caught up and move forward. So that helps you, right? The other thing you can do is, again, something you mentioned before, do an audit of all your expenses. What can you do without? Like get rid of all the subscriptions. Like you don't need that, you know, whatever subscription you have for some software. And when you have redundancy, because what happens is a lot of these applications do the same things. You're just using this one for the one feature and this other one for that other feature. But like you can only just use one.
You're wasting money doing it that way.
Don't waste money. So that's another part. And then the last and my favorite one is invest in yourself. Develop new skills.
Yes.
Because here's the thing about sort of being able to overcome financial challenges. I can speak about that all day long. When you have different skill sets, you feel a lot more confident about anything that it faces you. Because
That's
now
right.
it's like, you know what? I can go be XYZ
That's
over there
right.
because
Right.
now I have this other set of skills. But if you only know to do one thing, that makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Because now you're dependent on that one thing. So if
Right.
you develop other skills, you're like, okay, I'll reinvent myself one more time.
Right.
That's right.
I'll be fine.
That's right.
I have an example.
Mhm.
So January 27, 2024,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 1, 2 o'clock, I had to go to somebody's office,
Mm-hmm.
meaning Carolina.
Oh yes.
And she
I
said,
love
"You
how she knows the date.
Yes. that was
It
our-
was 1:23 in the afternoon.
It was between, we usually meet about between 1 and 2. But she said, you need multiple streams of income.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do for that?
Right.
Then I'm thinking, we got businesses. It's just a fact of making them profitable, right?
That's right.
And I knew my husband had done all the research on the scrubs, got us, we've doing our scrub line. We can do this, right? But he's busy working
Right.
and driving. He drives trucks. So I'm like, okay, I got to fix this.
That's right.
I got to fix this. So even though it took until October, November, we had
Mm-hmm.
first start of the consistency in sales,
Mm-hmm.
we're selling and it's starting to grow. The e-commerce is doing
Mhm.
what it do. I had called the tax people last month. I'm like, okay, so I'm new to this.
Right.
The business is 2 years old though, but I'm new
Right.
to this and I need to know how I file these taxes.
Right.
And they told me, I put it in my calendar. I said, because we're not going to fall behind. We're going to make sure
No.
this is done right so we can keep it moving
That's
and
right.
do it the right way.
Sure.
But that extra stream of income helps so much.
Right.
And everything she just said, she tells us.
Yeah.
You're
So-
welcome.
I know that's right. I appreciate it. Everything. That's why I'm listening to her. I'm like, yep, that's
Yeah.
what she say.
Yeah. And that could be tied to developing skills too. Is that,
Yeah.
you develop another skill and then it's another skill that you can sell.
Yeah, because
and
I
be
do.
of
I know
service,
I
right?
could do that.
Yeah, but you do
Right.
now, though.
I do now. I know a little something about e-commerce. I can help.
That's right.
I can help you.
That's right.
If you need it.
That's right.
At the end of the day, once you venture into the business world, it's
Mhm.
really hard to go do anything else.
Yes.
So
Right.
you then, by getting all these new skills, you're able to open up different types of businesses
that's
or
right.
partner with other people
That's
in
right.
business
That's
that,
right.
can help you with that. So
Right.
that to me is a key component of making sure that you're resilient for whatever the economy turns out to be.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't want to be at the mercy of forces that are outside your control.
Not at all.
Right. I really think that there's an element of what you've talked about here that speaks to adaptability. And I think that it's not just a matter of managing your business finances, but it really does tie into, managing your personal finances too. And not just what's in your bank account right now, but what the future is going to hold
Mhm.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it
like
really does matter.
you have to understand what stage in life you're in, right?
Right.
Like my stage is very different than yours and then different than
Right.
yours, and it's everybody's. But and also, what are your ultimate goals as an individual
That's right.
in life, so that the financial aspect can be tied to that, right?
Right. And doesn't limit you.
It doesn't, right? To tie it in the business, unpredictability of financial. What did I say earlier? Like we're tied in our
Right.
personal lives
That's
to the
right.
business.
So just want to put out there, if you're listening to us
Mhm.
and you're experiencing pausing or scaling back
Mhm.
the growth, we love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Message us on our social media or however you're listening to us or watching us.
Mhm.
Just send us a message and we'll answer you on our next podcast or our next section about financial growth.
That's right.
Listen, don't forget to subscribe.
And
Oh,
don't
yes.
forget
Don't forget to subscribe.
And we may just have a little something to give you
That's right.
if you subscribe to our
Absolutely.
channel.
That's right. That's right. So with all that said, we will see you and you will hear us next time on Breaking Even Better. Stay smart, stay proactive, and stay ahead of uncertainty. Thank you so much for listening to the Breaking Even Better podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. To connect with our podcast or any of us individually, make sure you head to the show notes for all the links you need. See you in the next episode.